Yes, fellow friends and subscribers, I have moved. I got a new place now, I'm gonna be here for the next year, and yes, that is my closet. Damn door won't close. So that's why I haven't uploaded a video in a while, for those of you who are wondering. Alright, so that being said, let's talk about a horror movie. So It, what a name, is an adaptation of the book by Stephen King published in 1986, takes place in the fictional town of Derry, Maine. Now the book revolves around this group of kids when they're kids and then 27 years later when they're adults. But in this movie, it's just the first half, they're just kids. There's gonna be a sequel in which they are adults. And there's this thing, this entity that usually takes the form of Pennywise the Clown. And it has been terrorizing this city for centuries, really, by murdering children. So now this group of kids that call themselves the Losers Club have to deal with that. And now we have a pretty cool movie. First of all, I'll start off by saying that I'm not a big horror fan. You can confirm that by just looking at my channel and seeing that there are really no reviews of horror movies on there. I've been doing this for like 3 years. But I have been getting slowly into the horror genre. A couple years ago, I watched the first 3 Paranormal Activity films. I've been kind of getting into it, and this is actually the very first horror film that I've seen in theaters. Like, straight up horror film. And I, for one, enjoyed it quite a lot. But the thing about horror films is that there is not a horror film that I've heard of that doesn't have a jump scare in there. You know what a jump scare is, where there's this long period of silence, and then suddenly, boom, something happens. And it's really loud. And yeah, I can't stand jump scares. Not because they don't get me, but because they do. I hate that feeling when something happens and I'm like, oh! And there are quite a few jump scares in this film, and they were really effective. I actually had to cover my ears because it's really the noise that gets me, not the visual. I don't want to shriek in the middle of the theater. So I find myself doing this, and then I figured I'm robbing myself of the effect the movie's trying to put on me. So there were a couple of scenes where I just manned up and did not cover my ears, and something happened on the scene. I was like, ah! But it was great because the audience around me was doing it too. It's a fun experience. But beyond the horror aspect of the film, it's really all about the characters, and I love that about this. It is a horror film about a clown that is terrorizing a small town, but the reason I was really looking forward to it is because it's a story about these kids who form a bond over having had an experience with this entity and also being bullied in school. The child acting in general in this film was actually really good. I'm gonna make a disclaimer right now. I don't really know any of the kids' names in real life, so I'm gonna call them by their characters' names. The main kid, Bill, I liked him a lot. I liked Bev and Ben, their whole relationship that they have going on. I thought that was done pretty well. The one kid that had me kind of groaning a little bit was Richie, played by the kid who was in Stranger Things. I have watched Stranger Things. I'm really looking forward to season 2. But he's kind of the comic relief in this film, and some of the humor kind of fell flat for me. Just because I was expecting this to be a serious horror film, I wasn't really looking forward to any humor. I mean, yeah, a lot of the humor did land, and I was laughing a lot. But some of the comedic lines spat out by Richie, I was like, not funny. At least not in my opinion. And I'm also gonna talk about, of course, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown. I really loved his performance. And yeah, I'm gonna compare him to the Tim Curry Pennywise from the 1990 TV miniseries, which I have watched, by the way. Because Tim Curry Pennywise actually seemed like a normal dude who was a clown. He didn't seem like a creature, really. Whereas Bill Skarsgård Pennywise actually looked and moved like an alien or something. Which I get, you know, because there's been a bump in technology since 1990. So some of the imagery in this film is, yeah, really disturbing, really scary. Like, if I were a kid watching this movie, I would have nightmares. The reason I'm not really a big horror fan is because I was scarred for life as a kid by The Sixth Sense. Thanks, Dad. But anyways, yeah, I really like Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. Now, this is a 2.5 hour long movie, which I dug, because it really took its time to tell the complete story here, which is my big complaint about The Dark Tower. And I love the story. It's a story about this group of kids who have to overcome their deepest fears in order to survive. How awesome is that? I really love the bond between all the kids. You really feel the chemistry. You hate the adults. It's like any classic story where the adults just won't listen to the kids. The kids know what's really going on, and the adults just won't listen. They can help, but they don't believe the kids, so the kids just have to handle this on their own. It's a classic story, and it was very well done in this movie. So the acting was great, the horror was great, the visual effects were good. Some of the visual effects could have been cleaned up a bit, but all in all, I'm not complaining. And the score. Benjamin Wallfisch composed the score for this. I think he just did Annabelle Creation. I haven't seen that, but I love the music in this movie. Because yeah, I don't really know how music in horror movies is supposed to be, because again, I haven't seen too many horror films. But if I were writing the music for this film, I would write it exactly like the music was in this film. It was creepy, it was eerie. Sometimes you hear kids chanting in the background that right in the opening logos that happened. I was like, okay, I'm kind of creeped out. Guys, I'm telling you, it is a great time at the theater. Great acting, great story, great visual effects, great music. I love this movie. So for It, I will say, go see this movie right now. Go see it this opening weekend with a nice big audience, because that reaction, yeah, I'm just saying, it's a good time. So It, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what is your favorite horror movie of all time, and or the one that scarred you for life as a kid? Whatever your answer is to any of those questions, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.